can get discouraged a lot of ways, but the one surefire way to avoid discouragement, first of all, let's understand something. We're all participating in this thing called life, all of us. Life has ebb and flows, mountaintops, it's got valleys, it's got thunderstorms in it, earthquakes. This life, you stop expecting it to go smooth, because it ain't finna go smooth. The road to success is always under construction. This life ain't set up to be smooth. You combat negativity and you combat discouragement with gratitude. It's the one way to combat discouragement is with gratitude. What messes you up is you focus on the thing that's not happening, and that causes you to get discouraged. So whenever you get discouraged, you have to change your focus from what's not happening to what has happened.
If you have a business, you're going to have to work for it. If you have a healthy relationship with your children, I've made up in my mind that nothing's going to stop us from having a daily relationship. I will do whatever it takes, make whatever adjustments I need to make. So it's going to be a dog fight. I'm telling you from personal experience, you don't have to start with anything. I'm a living example. You don't have to have anything to get started, not even a dad. No, I'm being real with you. Not a bank account, not a name, not a camera. We didn't have a camera when we first started. Not even business cards. We still don't have business cards. You say, how are you so successful without business cards? I don't know. We just say, here, take our number down. If you're serious, just here. Here's my number, call me. So number one, you need to be very intentional. I'm going to give you 3-4 things. I'm letting you go. The first one is you need to be very intentional and deliberate. And what I mean by very intentional and deliberate is, please, you have to hear this.
And we have to get to the point where we're willing to impose our will on certain things. Impose your will on it. My life totally changed. And they gave me an opportunity to stop. And most people, when you give them an opportunity to stop while they're chasing something, they take advantage of it because they feel as if, man, why did this have to happen to me? I felt as if, why not me? This is the perfect opportunity to use this to be a blessing to somebody else. And you know what? It's not even about me to be truthful. It's not even about me now. It's about repaying the people that invested in me and saw something in me when I couldn't see it in myself. At a certain point in life, it can't just be about you. And the moment that we understand that, and every day we wake up, we understand that life is a blessing and life is a gift. And if you were to check out today, how would you want to be remembered? It's bigger than you.
I believe in rugby that both teams are professionals, correct? Listen to me, both teams are professional. Both guys have, started young and they all have, are all, physically able to play the game. But what happens is you have one team that's good in spurts. You have another team that's dominant. Come on, hear what I'm telling you. When I say I need you to be intentional and deliberate, hear me, I want to paint the picture. You have one team that has the ability to score. They have the ability to do well. They have the ability to score on the opponent. What their challenge is that they can't do it, they can't sustain it. The teams that are dominant, all black, dominant, because they can do it from beginning to end. Right, listen to me, and they can do it team after team after team. Right, they can do it over and over and over. They dominate because they put pressure on you from the time you start to the very end. Like, even when they're up, they continue to dominate. And your problem is you're not intentional and deliberate.
Everything that you are seeking in your life requires your full, undivided attention. If you're giving all of these things that are coming at you, all of your energy, then you will lose. You're going to struggle. You're going to have to fight sooner or later. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be a physical fight, because nothing can move unless the mind and the soul and the heart is attached to it. If you don't commit to these things, then you will lose. I love you guys very much. Coach Payne out. Conduct your business.
You wake up on Monday and you might be strong, but by Wednesday, somebody told me, E.T., it's Wednesday, it's hump day. I said, I thought every day was hump day. It's hump day. I thought Sunday was hump day. I thought Sunday is where you really get started. Are you hearing what I'm telling you? You're not intentional and deliberate. You are hoping that the best is going to happen to you, and the best never happens to you.
And it straightens you out immediately. Because what causes the downslide is if you get wrapped up into what ain't happening, it get ugly, man. And it just snowballs. But you have to focus on gratitude. People understand how serious gratitude is. You know, it's a serious principle of success. It's hard to be miserable and grateful at the same time. You know, I learned this at my mother's funeral, man, which was like the roughest. That week of my life was like chaotic, man. I thought I was gonna die. My mama passed, I was 40. I didn't do good, man. I thought I was crumbling. I really, I didn't know what that was, man. The most important person to me was gone. I was crushed. I thought I was gonna die. And at the funeral, my mother was a Sunday school teacher for 40 years. And I'm devastated. My mother's in a casket. That's just not the picture I ever wanted to see, right? And I was struggling with her being up there. And the preacher stood up and he said, I know y'all hurting. I got 2 brothers and 2 sisters. He said, but I want y'all to look around at this church. My mama had been a Sunday school teacher for 40 years. The church was packed. It was packed. He said, the overflow room is full. He said, we've put up projector screens in the parking lot. We don't do that on Easter. We just set up projector screens in the parking lot because so many people that came to see your mother off. He said, because your mother meant something to everybody. My mama's funeral was filled with the hood, the gangsters, the pimps, the hustlers, the dope boys, the police, the politicians, the church people.
I'm doing all the right stuff. I'm not hurting nobody. I'm finding folks' wallet, and I'm finding a way to get their wallet back. I'm not disrespecting females. Like, I'm trying to do all the right stuff. Why am I broke? And God said, being a good person, son, has nothing to do with making money. That's absolutely, you're a good person, and you're going to be rewarded for that. Ask CJ, I can lose my computer, and somebody's going to send it back to me. I lose stuff all the time. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to lose people, but I'll lose stuff. It's like, it's not that deep. Listen to me. I'll leave money I'll leave money, not even in a wallet, just money sitting there. And I'll come back and somebody says, did you lose some money? I'm like, it didn't have my name on it. Like, I'm being honest. The Beats by Dre, I left them on the plane the other day, did some work, came back. I just randomly walked up to 48, exit gate 48, randomly just walked up and said, I lost some headphones. And he said, oh, are they black with red? I said, yeah. He said, I think that they're down in the security. I'm like, security? That's 2 miles from here. I got to catch a plane in another 15 minutes. He said, oh, I'm sorry. What's your name? I said, Airtime. He said, oh, they're right here. We're talking about in Los Angeles, California. I randomly walk up to a gate and this guy just happens to have my...
Well, that took some doing. I went to the bank in the town where I lived and walked in to open my account. I went to the window and told the lady I wanted to open up a savings account. She said, great. What is your name? I said, Mr. Rohn. She said, fine, Mr. Rohn, just fill out these papers. I filled them out, handed them back to her, and she said, that's all in order. Now, how are we going to get this account started? I said, put 10 in. She said, 10 what? I said, $10. Now, can you imagine the scene? I'm a grown man, 25 years old. I have a family. I'm working and opening up my first savings account with $10. I said, hey, this may not seem like much, but I have a great plan. In fact, before long, I'll probably have the largest savings account in this bank. She said, well, if you say so. It was a bit embarrassing, I must admit, but Shoaff said, get excited about where you're going and excited about the fact that you are one of the few who have a wealth plan in place and working. To make a long story short, guess what? Within less than 3 years, I did have the largest savings account in that bank. Now, it was just a small country bank, but I did reach my goal. What magic! And how quickly it works once you develop a new plan and a new attitude and commit to the discipline to do it. Wealth plans, anyone can have them. Wealth goals, anyone can design them. Wealth habits and disciplines, anyone can develop them. The management of time. Wouldn't you agree? This has to be one of the master keys to wealth and happiness. I was in South Africa for a lecture tour some years ago, and I picked up this short article by Arnold Bennett on the subject of time. I thought it was excellent, and I'd like to share it with you now. Time, he wrote, is the inexplicable raw material of everything. With it, all is possible. Without it, nothing. The supply of time is truly a daily miracle, an affair genuinely astonishing when one examines it. You wake up in the morning and lo, your purse is magically filled with 24 hours of the unmanufactured tissue of the universe of your life. It is yours. It is the most precious of possessions. No one can take it from you. It is unstealable. And no one receives either more or less than you receive. In the realm of time, there is no aristocracy of wealth and no aristocracy of intellect. Genius is never rewarded by even an extra hour a day. And there is no punishment. Waste your infinitely precious commodity as much as you will, and the supply will never be withheld from you. Moreover, you cannot draw on the future. Impossible to get into debt. You can only waste the passing moment. You cannot waste tomorrow. It is kept for you. You cannot waste the next hour. It is kept for you. I have said the affair is a miracle. Is it not? You have this 24 hours of daily time to live. Out of it, you want to spend health, pleasure, money, content, respect, and the evolution of your immortal soul. Its right use, its most effective use, is a matter of the highest urgency and of the most thrilling actuality. All depends on that. Your happiness, the elusive prize that you are all clutching for, my friend, depends on that.
A friend of mine named Lorraine had me to come to do an intervention with her brother that was addicted to drugs, and he told us to get out of his house. And as we were going down the steps, I said, I'm sorry I failed. I'm so disappointed. And she said something that I'll never forget. I want you to remember. She said, Les, most people won't participate in their own rescue. Most people won't participate in their own rescue. You have a vehicle that will allow them to create their own job. You have products that people need. You have training and coaching where they'll be in business for themselves, but not by themselves. You have leadership of people who've proven that it's possible. You can live your dreams. It's possible. You got a shot at creating a fortune. Everybody's not going to do it. We can't predict performance. And all you are saying, hey, listen, here's an opportunity. And don't take it personal when people say no to you. They're not saying no to you. They're saying no to themselves. They're saying no to living a bigger life. They're saying no to what's going on in their head because they're suffering from possibility blindness. They can't see themselves doing more. They don't want to do that extra work. So they're saving you some time. They know they're trifling and don't want to work. Don't try and convince them to say yes. A person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. This is hard work. H-A-R-D and H-E-A-R-T. Hard work and hard work. You got to gut this out. You've got to know your vitamin. You've got to fail your way to success. You've got to be unstoppable. You have to operate like Willie Jolly, who said a setback is a setup for a comeback. You've got to be relentless when you're building a business. You got to be able to have courage after you face rejection again and again and again. After somebody tell you they're going to show up and then they don't come, they don't return your calls. It takes courage. Go out, start talking to people. It takes courage when creditors are breathing down your neck and family members saying, oh, there he goes again with another pyramid scheme. Am I making sense to you? What I'm doing? I didn't do this for 14 years because I didn't have the courage. I was afraid of being rejected because I don't have a college education. I had a tremendous inferiority complex and something else. In order to make this business successful, to go from a 9 to 5 to 5 until you faint, it's a different mindset. It requires a radical change.
The inconsistency of humanity. And no, I'm not making excuses for sin. And no, I'm not taking down from righteousness. And yes, holiness is still right. It's just that we are not holiness. We are human. Holiness is still right, but that don't mean I'm always right. Holiness is right, but humanity goes wrong. And some of you that's hollering holiness is right, you got some stuff too, because I grew up with you. And I know I got the receipts. You ain't so such a man. Don't tell me you so such a man. Just because your dress go down to the floor don't mean you can't yank it up. It don't mean, I found out a long time ago, dresses that go down, go up. Y'all ain't gonna talk back to me this morning because y'all won't stand by the truth. But Jesus said, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Them church hats come off. Yes, they do. And prayer caps and prayer bonnets, all of that stuff comes off. Because when you strip all of that down, you're human. You have to wrestle every day between your holiness and your humanity, between your attention and your realities. Come on, talk to me, somebody. Because this that I am preaching about today is just as real as anything you want to talk about. The inconsistencies of man. That's why marriages fail. Because you married an idea and you went home with a man. You married a concept, but you went home with a woman, a flawed woman, a flawed man, who don't always tell you everything they ought to tell you, who's not always open about what they ought to be open with, who's a mother and may really love her kids but may not be a great mother, may only be a good mother, may be a fair mother, may be a bad mother, but a mother nonetheless, may be a great mother, not a great wife, he may be a great father, not a great husband, and all of a sudden, can you live with somebody who has disappointed? Do you have the kind of love that runs off the porch to grab and hug a funky son with tracks in his arm or a dress around his waist? Do you have the kind of love that Jesus was talking about in the Bible? Peter was warming himself by the fire of the people he used to fight. Watch out for people who fight stuff all the time. Because when you're always preaching about something, when you always talking about something, don't be surprised when you find them warming themselves by the fire of the very thing. Y'all ain't gonna help me preach this morning. Y'all not gonna help me preach this morning. But I'm dealing with some stuff this morning that's deep, and it may be dark, but it's true, and it's eating at us. It's eating at us. It is not what we are eating that's making us gain weight. It's what's eating at us. It's eating at our peace. It's eating at our rest. It's eating at our joy. It's eating at our marriages. It's eating at our careers and our commitments and our self-esteem. And somebody has got to preach about shame, because the suicide rates are going up while we are quiet and silent and politically correct and beating our tambourines and dancing all over the world. Our kids are blowing their brains out. And
The key is what we do in our times of pain. Pain will change us. Heartache, loss, disappointments, they don't leave us the same. Now, how the pain changes you is up to you. You can come out bitter, or you can come out better. You can come out defeated, giving up on your dreams, or you can come out with a new passion, a new fire, excited about the new opportunities in front of you. All of us experience pain. My challenge, don't just go through it, grow through it. That difficulty is an opportunity to get stronger, to develop character, to gain new confidence. Anybody can give up. Anybody can let it overwhelm you. But you know what that's doing? Wasting your pain. That pain is not there to stop you. It's there to prepare you, to increase you, to develop you.
Pain is temporary. It may last for a minute, or an hour, or a day, or even a year. But eventually, it will subside, and something else will take its place. If I quit, however, it will last forever. I dare you to take a little pain. I dare you. I dare you not to go home. Somebody said, I don't go home, I feel bad. Go through it. You ain't gonna die. At the end of pain is success. You're not gonna die because you're feeling a little pain. So don't worry about a little pain.
Every single person who has ever done anything worthwhile or exceptional or difficult or extraordinary, everyone encounters difficulties. There is no easy road. It does not exist. It is impossible. We all go through hard times. We all go through depression. We all go through doubt and then moments in your life where it's really difficult, and you're trying to figure out what your path is going to be. It's hard as but that is what makes you a person. And those difficult moments are what build your character.
Experiencing pain in your muscles and aching, and just then go on and go on and then go on. And this last 2 or 3 or 4 repetitions, that's what makes actually the muscle then grow. And that divides then one from a champion and one from not being a champion. If you can go through this pain barrier, you make it to be a champion. If you can't go through, forget it. And that's where most people lack, is on this having the guts to go in and just say, I go through and I don't care what happens. You know, it aches, and if I fall down, I have no fear of fainting in the gym, because I know it could happen. I threw up many times while I was working out, but it doesn't matter, because it's all worth it.
Today, I wanted to just really hit on something: successfully dealing with pain. I think you hear many stories, and every story I just sat in the back room and listened to. I'm watching these people triumph and figure out ways to keep going. But how do you keep going? Why do you keep going? When the world says everything else is supposed to be opposite.
Every time you come up to a challenge, you quit, you surrender, you give up, you give in. Every single thing I go through, I remember I was homeless and I draw from it. Every single time I'm going through pain, I remember that I've gone through pain since I was a kid. I draw from it. Recycle your pain. Get something from it. You already in pain. Use it. Do something with it. Allow it to take you to the next level. Allow your pain to push you to greatness.
There's 2 sides of pain that I don't think a lot of people really understand, right? There's one side of pain that's the suffering and the discomfort side of pain. But then there's another side of pain that's called effort. It's called glory. It's called, if you can find a way to push through pain, there's something greater on the other side of it. And if you never tap into it, it's because the first time you felt it, you backed off. First time you felt, that burn. The first time you felt that it's too much. That's why a bunch of us give up so much in life so quickly. That's why kids have a problem finishing things in today's time. Because as soon as they feel a small bit of discomfort, of things ain't right, they're gone. I can't do it no more. But suppose I told you the greatest pain of my life is the reason I'm standing here today. See, sometimes we think the pain is what controls us. It's actually our subconscious mind. That if we ever tapped into that, that's what dictates most of our lives. Because see, pain is tricky. Because if you don't control pain, it'll control you. Think about what we do the moment we feel that, right? It's back to the 2 sides of pain, the 2 sides of pain. See, at that point, I feel like a victim. And I feel like, oh man, why me? You know, and when I remember laying on the ground. And I said, Lou, ain't nobody out here gonna help you get up. What makes you get up when you fall down? What makes your mentality change if there's a great situation or there's a bad situation? How do you dictate that based off the level of pain? Because I think that's where we're getting in trouble at. And so when I started cycling, when I started going to see these doctors, I realized that I turned my greatest pain into my greatest achievement. Well, sometimes your greatest pain, it ain't even about you. It's about a greater purpose. That if you can find a way to push through, that if you can find a way to not make it about you, Learn to appreciate the occasional storms that come in your life. Just learn to appreciate how small they are. The occasional storms that come every day. And then that's the ingredient of how you really deal with pain.
Life does not always go in our favor. Sometimes it brings us happiness, and many times it brings us pain. It takes days or months or sometimes years to heal emotionally. If you think that all you need is some time to get over something hurtful, trust me that you are not the only one. If we look around, there are thousands of people who are struggling with difficulties of the past. When we get hurt emotionally, it looks like time has stopped and the world has ended. In reality, these wounds hurt, and damages make us stronger than we were before. It's just like how smooth and calm oceans or rivers can't make you a skilled sailor. Similarly, hard times make you a strong person. People always change after being hurt. All you need is to give yourself time to heal, and you will find yourself a completely different person. Being alone does not mean you're lonely. You cannot be lonely if you like the person you're alone with. Don't try to force yourself to get into a relationship in order to avoid being alone. It is much better to have nobody in your life than to have someone who is half there or doesn't want to be there. The sun is alone too, but still it shines. Some people who are emotionally hurt try to move to the next relationship because they think that this would be the better way to forget the old problem. But actually, this isn't the case. Instead, you only deepen the wound even more. Wounds don't heal the way we want them to. Actually, they heal the way they need to. It takes time for wounds to fade into scars. It takes time for the process of healing to take place. If you have a wound on your body and you don't stop touching it, it means that you are going to make it worse, and the healing process will become slower and slower. On the other hand, your wound will be healed much faster if you give time to the healing process. We can use this example for emotional trauma as well, when we try to distract ourselves from the actual problems. Sometimes we get to the point where we don't want to face ourselves and say, I'm stepping off the temporary healing boat. Actually, running away from the problems only increases the distance to the solution. The fact is, you cannot run away from the truth. One day or another, the truth will find you. Now it's time to bear the situation, no matter how bad it is. Let the process of healing work and trust your God. He will certainly bring pleasure and happiness to your life. When you face any problem in your life, you will definitely get ease after it, and that's the part of life. Therefore, when you are emotionally hurt, just sit and think in your mind that ease is coming soon. Believe me, even in the worst situation, your heart will be totally satisfied, and there will be a smile on your face. Sometimes it happens in our lives that the person we love the most leaves us without thinking even a single time that his or her absence will hurt us a lot. We start to think like our life will be no more. But as time passes, we slowly recover from the trauma and see a new life ahead. Let me tell you one thing. Life is like riding a motorbike. If you want to maintain balance, you have to keep going. The past is like using your rearview mirror in the car. It's good to glance back and see how far you've come, but if you stare too long, you keep crashing. When someone you love the most decides to leave you for good, you have to let them, no matter how much you don't want them to. There are many things in our lives that are not in our control. even if we have the strength to fight for them, we have to accept the cold, harsh truth that the person you can't live without actually can live without you. So instead of crying and being deeply saddened, think that it might be a chance for you to find someone that really appreciates your present. One thing we all have experienced in life is that whenever we get hurt, we try to put alcohol or a bandage on it. At first, it burns a little bit, but after some time, you feel that your wound is healing. So, we have to understand the fact that God has made a cycle for everything. At the end, stop wasting time thinking all night about the things you could have done better. You have done nothing wrong. Sometimes people change without a reason. Remember, there are billions of people in the world, and the person who is left was not the last person ever. You will find someone better, so cheer up. Feel happy about yourself. God is with us, so don't worry and have patience.
Write this down. God will promote you to the level of your tolerance of pain. God will promote you to the level of your tolerance of pain. At the point that you can't handle pain, you lose the promotion. He promotes you to the level of your tolerance of pain. If you can't take it, you can't be promoted. You can't handle it, you're too sensitive, you can't have it. In the corporate world, the people who get the big bucks are paid to handle problems. You can't be an executive and you can't handle stress. You can't be a manager and your feelings are sensitive. You can't run a corporation and you can't handle problems. We don't put you in a corporate office to overview in the city with glass all around you, not to handle problems. We gave you that so that you could process the problem. The big bucks go to problem handlers, people who can solve it, people who can make it happen, people who can get it done. Offenses will come. That's a promise. Offenses will come. If you avoid offenses, you avoid life. Offenses will come. They will come over and over and over and over and over again. They will come. I don't know whether the mail is going to come, but offenses will come. The longer you live, the more things are going to offend you. It is impossible to hide from it. You cannot dodge it. Everywhere you go, you will run into offenses. You must understand that your ability to handle offense will determine your direction for the next 20, 30 years of your life. So when you ask for promotion, you're asking for problems. You're asking for offenses. You're asking, fill my desk with offense. I can handle it. I'm the man for the job. I'm here to represent. I can handle it. Let me put it in Bible language. To him whom much is given, much is required. You can't get the much giving if you're not going to deal with the much required. Let me break it down in colloquialism. New levels, new devils. The higher you go, the more you're going to have to confront with every day.
So when you are where you are right now and you say, I can't take this, I can't handle this, I don't want any more, this is driving me crazy, you are saying, I don't want to go any higher. You are rejecting the call to move forward, because moving forward and moving up means more problems. In fact, the problems that you're dealing with right now may be the fact that you are in training. If you don't let it break you, if you don't let it destroy you, if you don't wimp out and let it beat you down, if you just master the situation, refuse to be intimidated, and learn how to manage the stress on the next level, then doors swing open. There's this magical thing about life, and I believe it's divinely inspired. You know how you go to the grocery store and you stand at a certain spot, you haven't even gotten to the door yet, but when you get in close proximity, the doors just start opening. When you can stand on a level of life where you're dealing with opposition and pressure and turmoil and take a licking and keep on ticking, and it might have stressed you out. You might have felt the pressure. You might have felt like breaking, but you didn't break. Doors just start opening up for you to go to the next level. I'm going to talk more about this in a minute, because when I start talking about dealing with conflict, all of the conflict is not external conflict. Some of it is internal conflict. Because when you come from back there and you start moving up further and further and further, and every step you take takes you to a different level of life and living, sometimes your life is moving faster than your mentality. You can have the desk you dreamed about, the position you wanted, the ministry you wanted, the opportunity you wanted, and everything moved up except your perception of yourself. Are you following what I'm saying to you? And I want you to understand something, that when God begins to move you along in life, it's not an elevator, it's a step-by-step process. So many people attempt to move forward in a rapid motion. They want to go from midnight to morning. They want to go from the basement to the presidential suite in one step. That's not what you want. You don't want to take the elevator, because if you take the elevator and you get it too fast, you can't handle it. You can't handle it. Oh, I know you want the money, but you can't handle the pressure and the problems and the conflict and the criticism and the opposition. And so God has designed it that you would move along in steps, in stages, not too fast. And every time you take a step, you have to kind of balance yourself and get used to this level of opposition, this level of controversy, this level of conflict, this level of criticism, because again, that's what they're paying you for, is managing trouble. Are you hearing what I'm saying to you? And just as soon as you get it all down pat and you've mastered it and you say, good, I'm comfortable now, this is now my new normal, I'm okay with it, then all of a sudden you take another step. You're back in a situation where you're learning again, and you're being hit in places you never expected to be hit before, and you're dealing with life on another level. And that happens whether you're in a corporation, whether you're in a church, or whether you're a family and you just had another child. Every time you have a child, new conflict, new problems, new things to deal with, more to manage, more to handle. You just got used to having one. You come back from the doctor. Now you're getting ready to have two. Everything's got to shift. Everything's got to move. Everything you learned about the first child doesn't work on the second child. Come on, somebody knows what I'm talking about. But God is so gracious, because he leads you along in steps and stages. And periodically, he will stop the process, allow you to evaluate where you are, to better understand where you are, and put you in a position that you can deal with your heart and mind and emotions that may still be back there where you started. And people are jealous of you and envious of you and fighting you, and they don't understand that you still perceive yourself as if you were where you started. But the steps of the Lord are leading you higher and higher and further and further and further than you've ever been before. Touch somebody and say, take another step. There's another step waiting for you. There's another dimension of life, another dimension of leadership, another dimension of problems, another dimension of conflict, another dimension of faith and finances and family and all of that. And if you don't break, and if you don't bow, and if you don't quit, and if you can maintain your faith in the middle of conflict and opposition, if you can neutralize controversy and learn how to take a licking, keep on ticking, keep your mind together, keep your wits about you, then God has ordered steps for you. And I want to tell you something. Your eyes have not seen, your ears have not heard the things that God has in store for you. He has a blessing for you. He has a promise for you. And all you have to do is stop complaining about where you are. Because when you complain about where you are, you do like Israel. You wander around the wilderness because you're not eligible to make the promotion, because you're grumbling about the level you're on right now. You are canceling out the opportunity to go to the next level if you stop murmuring and complaining and say, I thank you for this conflict. I thank you for this opportunity. I thank you for this controversy. I thank you for this training. I thank you for this opposition. I thank you for this enemy. Order my steps, Lord. Order my steps. Get me ready. I trust you. You wouldn't lead me into this position if you had not equipped me with everything I need for where I am right now. Are you ready for this? Touch 3 people and say, take another step. Take another step. Don't be afraid. Don't be intimidated. Don't bow. Don't break. Don't give in.
I think the greatest gifts in life and it's belief and exposure, right? Because a lot of times for me personally, the reason I say that is there was a lot of moments in my life to where it was people that saw things in me that I couldn't see in myself. And they believed in me in a way that I couldn't believe in myself yet. And I rented their level of belief until I got strong enough to possess my own, right? It's like when you're young and they see you, and it's like even when you start out doing what you're doing, you could be talented, right? And somebody older than you or more experienced than you can see you and know like, oh man, if he did this or if he does this, man, he could be great, right? And they can come to you and say, hey kid, man, you got something. Like you could be great, right? Like my teachers and my coaches, when they came to me and they was like, son, I'm telling you, you could go to college, man. Like you really, I know you're talking about it, but your circumstances are saying different. I think you can do it, right? And when they said it, I'm like, oh, I can do it. Like I can make it happen because they're believing in me making it happen. I think I can do it. So I think belief, and the reason I say exposure is because like I think when you show people things, that's powerful. I think exposure sparks inspiration, right? Exposure sparks motivation. Like when I was coming up in that 2-bedroom house with all those people, and I went to the other side of town with my coach, and he was like, no, you don't have to live like that. You can live a normal life, right? It changed my whole mindset. And my mindset can never go back to the way that it once was because I have been exposed to something different, to something new. So I think belief and exposure are 2 of the most powerful things that can happen to a person. The reason that I think belief is important is because like when you're young or when you do something and you're a novice, right? And you start out doing it and you might think you can do something with it or you might not. You might do it and it's being driven by your passion. And then somebody comes along that's a little bit older or even more experienced and they can see it in a way that you can't see it, right? And so I think it's important with belief because if a person believes in you in a way that you don't believe in yourself, you can rent that person's belief until you get strong enough to possess your own, right? And you use that person's belief to fuel you every single day, right? Because you can have a level of belief with what you're doing, but you can go back to a certain set of circumstances that tell you, nah, it's not gonna happen. And so you rent that person's belief until you get strong enough to possess your own.
Are you letting people talk you out of what God put in your heart? You can't get well. You saw the report. You'll never get out of debt. You've reached your limits. You can't start that business. You won't accomplish your dreams. You have too much opposition. Do like him. Let that go in one ear and out the other. Ignore what they're saying. They don't determine your destiny. God does. But if Barnabas would have been passive and indifferent, thought, hey, I'm blind, it's just a bad break, he wouldn't have received his sight. He had this passion, this fire on the inside that said, this is your day. This is your time. He rose up and took that step of faith. If you're going to see what you're believing for, you have to be willing to do what other people won't do. Other people may not believe when it looks impossible. Other people may settle where they are. They may get discouraged, tell you, don't bother praying, don't bother believing. No use getting your hopes up. You're wasting your time. You have to do like Barnabas and say, God, this looks impossible, but I know you can do the impossible. The odds are against me, but God, I know you are for me. Well, I put in 3 applications. All 3 companies turned me down. I don't think I'll ever find a job. I say this respectfully, you don't want it bad enough. Well, I dated 2 girls. Both of them told me I wasn't their type. I don't think I'll ever get married. You don't want it bad enough. There are several million other girls out there. Well, I want to get well, but the medical report says I'm not going to make it. When the odds are against you, you have to want it on a new level. How bad do you want to get out of debt? Bad enough to not buy things you can't afford? Bad enough to not try to keep up with your friends? Bad enough to honor God by tithing your income? How bad do you want that promotion? Bad enough to get to work early? Bad enough to do more than what's required? Bad enough to take that online course to sharpen your skills? I don't want to take another course. I don't want more work. I just want the promotion. You don't want it bad enough. You have to stand out in the crowd.
You're wasting a bunch of percentage here. We have 80 more percent that we're not tapping into, because in this other 80% is suffering, pain, failure, self-doubt, darkness, and then a whole bunch of light. But to get to this light, you got to go through all of this shit. So a lot of us know that. We know, yeah, I can get over here, but over here, man, this is much better, because I got to go through this journey that is not fun. This from 20 to 100%, this shit in between is not fun. So we decided to live over here. So everybody goes, how do you do that? You know exactly how to do that. You know exactly. It's not a magic trick. There's nothing I talk about in that book that's a magic trick. It's all back down to a very primitive mindset of we just have to do. It's like breathing. Breathing becomes normal. Like we don't know that we're doing it. That's how you have to live your life. When that alarm clock goes off at 4 or 5 in the morning, your mind says no. You just say, this is what we do. It's what we do now. Because to get to where you want to go, the amount of pain involved, I'm not saying physical, I'm not saying you got to break yourself off. The amount of mental pain of how many times you're going to have to do something that you don't want to do to get to where you want to go. There's going to be more times you do something that you don't want to do than you are going to want to do it. And that's your new norm. What is in us, we have no idea until we start trying hard. And I mean really trying hard, when you're obsessed with, hey, this is my new norm. My new norm is that, wow, this isn't always fun.
We give names like English Channel, like Atlantic, to what is actually the same body of water. Pacific, same. Indian Ocean, same. South China Sea, same. All these different names, when everything is one ocean, one sea. And so it is with the human race. We give ourselves, and we are given, all these names and labels to define us, when actually all of us, none excluded, are different points of attention in the same flow of infinite awareness. Here we are looking at ourselves as divided into labels and names, when actually we're all expressions of the same consciousness, exploring forever. The names, the labels, are just brief experiences. As human is a brief experience for the consciousness that is having those experiences. What a different world it would be if we realized that we are all different expressions of each other.